Today on Design, Build, and Fix, it's my official start date for the Lake Cottage teardown and rebuild. If you like the content, make sure you click the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment if you'd like. Alright, let's show you how we get this thing done. So the demolition of the lake house actually started right after the snow melted, mostly because we had some outside stuff that had to be done. We had two trees that needed to be taken down. One was a black walnut and one was just a regular tree. Really had no value, but the black walnut tree has some value to it. It was large enough that we could actually saw it into boards, and we're actually going to take it to a sawyer, get it sawed into boards, get it kiln dried, and have the ability to make some furniture for it a little bit later in the reconstruction of this house. So I actually have a video of us dragging the black walnut log up the hill with a winch that was attached to the trailer hitch that we have on my truck. I'll leave the link for it down in the description below so you can actually watch that. Now, once that was all cleaned up, the good news is, based on scheduling, I was not able to start when everybody else started. That would be my brother and sister-in-law. So let's go ahead and show you exactly what they did, and it saved me a lot of extra work. All right, as you can see, they're about a week and a half into tearing this thing apart. The first thing they did is they went through, when I say they, it's my brother and sister-in-law, they went through and took everything in the house that was valuable that they wanted to keep. Like some of the things they took out was all the wainscoting and a couple of, they took all the electric wiring out. They're going to recycle that. And this is my first official start date to get helping, and looks like they did most of the work for me. So that's awesome. As you can see, we have no drywall, no windows. Looks like it's pretty well torn apart. We'll have this down in no time. Alright, so I've taken down a couple houses in my lifetime, and I've come to the realization that the easiest way to do it is to do what we did here in the video, is start from the inside. Take everything you can from the inside of the house out, take your windows out, and get all that done, and then go to the roof and take it from the top down. Now, if you're going to strip the shingles, which I highly recommend you do because it makes it easier to get everything off, you're definitely going to want to have a roof shovel or a shingle shovel, which is exactly what I've been using there in the video. And then if you have access of putting those shingles from the roof right into something that can carry it to the dumpster, I would highly recommend that, because you don't want to have to pick things up off the ground. Alright, so at this point in time, it's probably good time to have the conversation of why are we tearing this cottage down board by board when we have access to a mini excavator and a tractor. Well, it's been decided that they wanted to save the framing lumber for a couple things. The first part of the framing lumber is going to go for at least the floor joists will be used as forms when we do the footers for the side porch addition and the back porch addition. And then it was also decided that any of the planking that sits on walls, whether it's on the roof or on the inside, which would be used for sheathing for the underside of the porch, kind of like a shiplap look. So it's been decided that it needs to be saved for that aspect of things, because there's a lot of lumber in this house and it could save a little bit of money. It will take a little bit longer. This whole tear down process took from Mother's Day all the way to the end of June, but it was well worth the time and effort. Alright, so here we go. Now it's time to take the roof off, because you're always starting with the roof and working your way down. Once the inside was completely gutted and the windows taken out, now it's time to go from the top down. And all we did is we grabbed some sledgehammers and stood on the ceiling joists and then just pounded up to get those boards. Now those boards are going to be saved. Those boards are going to be run through a planer. Well, first checked for nails and then run through a planer to see what it looks like. And they've already done one, and they decided it was going to be used for the underside of the porch sheathing as a tongue and groove type situation. Then rafter by rafter with a sawzall, those were taken down, and those are going to be saved for they want to produce or build a gazebo on the property next door that they also own for us to sit in and enjoy the view of the lake. So in doing this process, it was a lot of work, and the mini excavator would have been able to reach up there and grab those things and pull it down. It does have a poured wall foundation, so we really wouldn't have had to have worried too much about pulling the walls over. Block walls, you have to be more concerned about that situation, but we had poured walls, and so the mini excavator would have made short work of this. Probably, instead of taking as long as it did, we probably could have done that in maybe 3 days or 4 days. The difference is another issue is you would probably have used more dumpsters. Now I'll show you a little picture here later, but this dumpster that was ordered was a 40-yard dumpster, and the whole house fit in it because it was neatly stacked. Hat goes off to the homeowners for stacking it very nicely. Now we tried to take this down is piece by piece, but then we had to have a little bit of fun, so we wanted to take this gable end and get it to fall right off, and it's easier to pick it up at that point once it's on the ground. That was a ton of fun there. Alright, so we're back at the lake cottage today. We had a short day yesterday, only about 2.5 hours. We got the ridge down and we got the 2 side eaves off, as you can see, and today what we're going to do is get the rest of the house onto the ground. Alright, so at this point in time I need to apologize because I turned the camera on and for some reason it just didn't record, so we don't have any footage of us taking the back roof off. But live and learn, we'll figure that out in the future why it didn't come on. But as you can see from the video, there's no front walls on the lake side. That's because during the week when I was at work, my brother and his wife came out and they tore all the front walls down, which saved a ton of time, which I'm glad they did, because now we can actually move on to the back portion of the house. Alright, so now that we're going to try and take the side walls down and the ceiling joists down, one of the things you're definitely going to want to do is make sure you put diagonal bracing. As you can see, we have some diagonal bracing that's there against the outside walls and it's pinned to the inside walls. You definitely want to make sure you put that bracing in there, because as soon as you start taking the ceiling joists off, now you have a racking possibility between the outside walls and everything else, and you don't want to be up there when those things fall down. Now as you can see, we have a big pile of lumber here. That's all the lumber that's been taken down from the roof, and now it's the ceiling joists, and those will go back to the same pile, nice and organized. Those came off pretty easily, just a sledgehammer on both sides, and they fall down. Those were picked up and took back to the pile. As you can see, there's a new header there by the top of the ladder where I'm standing there now. That header was put in by us probably about 10 years ago to open up the kitchen and the dining room, which was a huge plus at that point. But then as soon as we did that, we realized the cottage had a lot of issues that needed to be fixed. What we wanted to do here is to make sure that when we took these walls down, that it saved the planking on the outside so we can reuse that, and also of course saved the studding that's there. So what we did is we took a sawzall, cut through the double top plate, down through all those, and then through the bottom plate, and then we did it on both sides. And once those sides were done, we basically lowered the wall down onto the floor and peeled those things off. This seemed to have worked extremely well because the walls were easily manageable in sizes, as opposed to trying to tip the whole wall over or push the whole wall to the outside. If you push it to the outside, then it falls on the ground, and then you have to work on the ground outside, which may not be even or level. For us, as you can see there, it came down relatively easily. And then we took the shingle shovel, that's a hard word to say, but shingle shovel to peel off our boards. And then we also created a device that helps peel off those boards a little bit easier than the shingle shovel. As you can see it there by my brother's foot, and it worked really pretty well. My brother-in-law actually made that for pulling pallets apart. You can buy them online at Amazon, but he decided he wanted to make one, and it worked well. It saved a ton of time. As you can see how fast he can go compared to me with my little hammer there, but now you reverted back to the shingle shovel. So all those boards, even though they're got a decorative edge to it, they're going to be run through the table saw to rip off the side and put grooves on it, and run through the planer to be used for other sheathing material for decoration stuff, whether it's a wall full of those boards on the inside, like a shiplap look, or something that goes onto the ceiling. Alright, so one piece of advice I want to share with you in the 30 years that I've been doing home construction remodeling is, whatever you do, whenever you tear something down, make sure you clean it up. Now, we could have gone through and tore down every single wall, got it on the floor, and then pick everything up. That doesn't work well. It just creates a huge mess, and let's put it this way, as soon as you take all the walls down, you're going to be pretty tired, and then you look at the mess you got to clean up, and that's just going to be non-motivating. But if you actually cut one portion down and then clean it up, as you can see from the picture, it looks like you've accomplished something, and then you can go on to the next task, and that's probably going to be your best way of doing it. And whatever you do, I did this once before back in 1995. I tore a house down, and I didn't have a dumpster on site. I put it all in garbage bags thinking I could put it up by the side of the road. That did not work well either. Definitely have to have a dumpster on site and clean up as you go. Alright, so here's another reason why we decided to tear the cottage down. As you can see, it's got older studs, but they use 3/8 drywall. And then if you look here, that's just a vapor barrier. There's no insulation in the house. So another reason why we tore the house down, or the cottage down. Alright, so here we go, the final wall in the house. Now all the exterior walls and interior walls are down. Time for a celebration. But not just quite yet, because we have to go ahead and pull everything apart and put it back in our pile. Alright, I have to admit, this is probably the nicest stacked dumpster I have ever seen. Job well done. Alright, and here we go. After 6 hours, the house is officially down from where we started this morning. And we have all of our piles of wood that's probably going to be saved. Well, definitely going to be saved. Probably going to be used for some sort of a gazebo or garage across the street. And there you have it. The house is officially down. Now what we have to do is clean up the yard. Then we'll unexcavate and go from there. Thanks for watching another Design, Build, and Fix video. If you like the content, make sure you click the subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, and leave a comment. Coming up next is going to be the unexcavation and the deck tear off. Alright, we'll see you on the next one.